Hello, I'm Dakeana Jones-Bishop, and I've been in HR for over 25 years. And in that 25 years, I've personally experienced some companies that have had really bad culture. And when you have bad culture, you really see what it does to an organization. It kills it. It can kill the morale. It can kill everything about a company. I can give you an example. A company that I worked for would have a happy hour every Friday, and everybody would come. And we're all around talking, having a great time. And I'm watching from afar the CFO talking to one of the associates in the building. And he said, "Hey, how you doing? How long have you worked here?" And she looked at him and she goes, "Well, I've worked here for 2 years and I'm in marketing." And he goes, "Oh, that's great. I don't know if I've seen you." She goes, "How couldn't you have seen me? My office is 2 doors down from you." Rolled her eyes and walked away. So, those kind of things are examples of how you cannot have bad culture. You cannot know somebody's name or know who works in your office. But now I want you guys to think about the 5 priorities that you are going to look at for 2025. And these are going to be 5 priorities that we're going to go over in my podcast going forward. So the first one is organizational culture. I know I keep bringing up culture, but what does that really mean? Do people really even know what culture is? Do you know what it is in your organization? Do your people even really like coming to work? Do they even like your company? Those are hard questions that you really have to think about. And I'll give you an example of why. So just a few weeks ago, I went to a company and the CEO told me that their culture was amazing. I mean, amazing. I was like, wow. And he told me how he gets out and he talks to people and everybody really loves the company. I said, great. He said, but I want to have some culture focus groups just to make sure I'm not missing anything. Going into the new year, what can I do better? And I was like, wow, I want to bottle up the CEO. He is awesome. So I did about 8 focus groups. And after those 8 focus groups, it was really hard to go into that CEO's office to let him know that, guess what? You have the most toxic company that I've ever heard of. and he was like, what are you talking about? And I said, out of the 8 groups, I really wish it was something different, but it was consistent across the board that people do not like your company. And I asked him, how do you think this is such a disconnect? He was devastated. We came up with a plan. But once again, if you don't even know what your culture is and how people think about your company, it can be devastating, just like it was for him. But it was crazy. I will give it to him that he looked in the mirror and he said, I got to change this. And slowly but surely, he's chipped away at it. And he really found out it was a senior leadership group. And that's where he was missing the mark. So that is one of the priorities I want you guys to think about, is that organizational culture. Also, leadership and management development. Are you investing the time in managing your people and to give them the tools to be successful? How many times have you, promoted someone just because they're bubbly and they're great and I think they'd be a good manager? They have no idea how to manage anything. It can be devastation. So make sure that you're taking the time to look at that. How are you developing your people? The next one is the strategic workforce plan. What does that look like? Do you have people that you can succession plan? Or are you just hoping that you'll have enough people throughout the year to deal with your business goals? You can't do that. So that has to be one of your priorities. Another one is change management. People don't like change. Okay. I've learned that throughout my career. Change is the worst thing you can do to people, but leaders don't know how to deal with it. So what are you doing to teach people on how to change and how to change the minds of their people? That's hard. And the last one is diversity. Now, with all the change going on with this new administration, what do you really feel about diversity? Do you want to keep it in your organization? Is it important to you? And how do you truly keep diversity alive? Now, I will say I don't think that taking away diversity or DE&I is the right thing to do. I think that you have to look at different ways to maybe present it and to have it a part of your culture. And that's where my diversity experience and my diversity real talk will give people the voice that they need to be able to sit at a table and be able to actually have awareness and get some kind of education from other people that aren't like them. That people and culture have to be a priority for their organization to be successful. When I say successful, I will say that it's not always just bad culture. I have an example of a good culture where the CEO is sitting in his office, doing his thing, and the cleaning crew comes through. And he looks up and he said, "How you doing? Thank you so much for taking out my trash. Do you like working here?" And the guy was like, "Are you actually talking to me?" And he's like, "Yeah, how do you like working here? What do you want to do with my company? How do you feel about my company?" I mean, he's like asking all these questions. And he finally said, "Well, I would like to one day maybe be a manager, or, learn how to be a manager." So immediately the CEO, after he got done talking to him, came to my office and said, "Hey, we need to, really look at this guy. He wants to be a manager, see what kind of, things that we can help him with." And sure enough, he ended up, after a year and a half, we put him through management training and everything. He ended up being one of our managers for the next 5 years. So there is good culture, and that's what we're looking for. And that's what Human Resources Unleashed can help you with. Here are your 5 HR priorities for you to think about. And I want you to stay tuned for the next episode so we can go in depth on how these are really going to help your organization be successful. So these will be the 5 priorities that we talk about on my podcast. And when you sign in every time, you're going to get more and more in depth of what I'm talking about for each of those categories. Until next time, see you later.
This podcast is powered by The Plug.